Sometimes, the world only sees the scars, never the story behind them. For Savannah Blake, starting over at East Ridge High was supposed to be a second chance. Instead, it became a battlefield of judgment, whispers, and shadows from a past no one wanted to understand. Branded a violent outcast after a brutal fight that left another student hospitalized, Savannah carried the weight of a label she never asked for, dangerous. But what no one knew was that she wasn't fighting for herself that night. She was protecting her little sister from a group that had preyed on the weak for too long. Thrown into a new school where the rumors moved faster than truth, Savannah's story could have ended in silence, in isolation, in giving up. But when she witnesses another student, Noah Carter, cornered and humiliated just like her sister had been, she makes a choice. To intervene. To resist. To rise. And what begins as an act of defiance sparks a ripple of change, dragging hidden alliances, dark secrets, and long-buried betrayals into the light. With each punch thrown and every truth unearthed, Savannah isn't just fighting to survive anymore. She's fighting to rewrite the story others tried to write for her. The iron gates of East Ridge High creaked open, welcoming Savannah Blake with a cold silence. The gray sky of Monday morning cast a gloomy tone over the gravel path leading into campus. She walked slowly, her grip tight on the strap of her backpack, as if holding on to herself. Her oversized black jacket concealed her slender frame. Her eyes scanned the students gathered in groups. Someone whispered. A group of girls looked at her, exchanged glances, and snickered. Savannah didn't need to hear clearly to know what they were saying. That's her. Heard she put a guy in the hospital. Some kind of psycho, I think. She'd heard it all 100 times since the incident at her old school, Maple Grove High. A fight in the parking garage. A senior boy, unconscious. A group of friends frozen in horror. And Savannah, hands bloodied, standing between him and her sobbing little sister. No one asked why she fought. No one mentioned that the boy had grabbed her sister, dragged her behind the gym, and threatened to make her behave unless she stripped. There was no video. No one brave enough to speak up. And so Savannah became the crazy girl, the violent freak. The school suspended her for 3 months. When she returned, everyone avoided her like she was some rabid animal. Eventually, her mother made the decision to transfer. A fresh start, she'd said, eyes filled with hope, but her gaze trembled with fear. But Savannah knew the truth, no one gives you a fresh start. They only wait for you to fall again. At recess, she sat alone at the far end of the school courtyard, where the stone benches were cracked and an old maple had shed nearly all its leaves. The wind ran through her hair, smelling of damp earth and rust. She pulled out a notebook, thought of writing something, as she'd done during therapy, but shut it again. A group of boys walked by. One smirked. Hey, better steer clear. She's got a record. Bet she knows karate or something. She's got those crazy eyes. Savannah didn't react. She'd learned not to. She'd learned that every defense fell flat when people already decided you were a monster. In class, she sat by the window, far from everyone else. The teacher introduced her with a stiff tone. We have a new student today. Savannah Blake. Let's help her feel welcome. A few eyes glanced up, then quickly down. No one greeted her. No one invited her to join a group. She was invisible and yet painfully visible. Class passed like a ghost drifting through a sealed room. Savannah took notes silently, though she could still hear the whispers. A crumpled paper ball hit her shoe. She picked it up and read the scrawled message. "Wanna fight, psycho?" She crushed the note and stuffed it in her bag. Her stomach churned, a bitter mix of anger, fear, and sadness, but her face remained blank. Don't let them see you break, she told herself. The first day ended with a drizzle. Savannah walked toward the bike racks, avoiding everyone's gaze. She texted her mom. "Savannah, I'm fine. Still breathing. Mom, I believe in you. Come home early. Don't let them hurt you. She pocketed the phone and stared at the dull sky. She no longer believed anyone could not hurt her. But her mom's words were the only thing anchoring her. That night in her small bedroom, Savannah sat cross-legged on the floor, wrapping cloth around her hands. A habit from her old karate days in 7th grade. Martial arts books lay scattered nearby. She'd quit after the incident, but sometimes, late at night, she'd practice again. Her body remembered every stance, every strike. It was the one thing that gave her control. But tonight, she wondered. Can I live without fighting? Is there anywhere I can just be myself without needing to defend all the time? Day 3. Savannah entered the girls' bathroom and froze. 2 girls stood at the sink, whispering while watching her through the mirror. One of them discreetly took a photo, then turned away. Savannah stepped into a stall, her pulse rising. Outside, she heard a phone buzz. "This the psycho chick I told you about. Crazy eyes, right?" Savannah stood still. Then walked out. Her hands clenched, nails digging into her palms until they bled. She promised her mother no more violence. But her pride was splintering. The next morning, a flyer appeared on the school bulletin board. "Welcome to the asylum, even crazies get a desk here." Below the caption was her photo, edited crudely with a shaved head and prison uniform. She stared at it. Cold dread trickled down her spine. Dozens of eyes looked her way, some amused, some avoiding. No one intervened. No one tore it down. Savannah walked up. Tore the flyer off. Folded it, and put it in her jacket pocket. Not to keep as proof. But to remember. To remind herself she was still on a battlefield. That afternoon, while heading home, she heard someone crying near the bike racks. A small, broken sound like a sob stuck in a throat. She hesitated, then approached. A skinny boy, disheveled, sat curled next to a bike. His eyes were red. His jeans torn. His backpack emptied onto the ground. Savannah knelt beside him. "Are you okay?" He looked up. It was the first time someone had looked at her without fear, disgust, or judgment. "I'm Noah," he said softly. "They took my phone. Said if I told anyone, they'd hurt me bad." Savannah looked at the scrapes on his arms. She didn't need to ask who they were. She didn't say much. She simply gathered his books, packed them back in, and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Tomorrow, walk in with me," she said. "No one touches you if I'm there." Noah smiled for the first time. A small smile, but real. That night, lying in bed, Savannah stared at the ceiling, eyes wide open. Something inside her had shifted. She wasn't alone anymore. Even if it was just Noah, a flicker of light in a pitch-black tunnel, it was enough to give her a reason to keep going. Not everyone hated her. Not everyone feared her. And maybe, just maybe, a new beginning was possible. But not by hiding from the past. By facing it, and doing what's right. It was a Friday afternoon, and the final bell echoed through the halls of East Ridge High like a long-awaited sigh of relief. Students flooded out of classrooms, laughing, jostling, shouting plans for the weekend. But Savannah Blake moved quietly through the noise, her senses tuned like a taut string. Something felt off. She was headed to the back exit near the gym when a muffled cry, barely audible, reached her ears. It came from the old utility corridor, a narrow passage few students used anymore. Savannah froze. Then it came again. She dropped her backpack without hesitation and turned down the hallway, her boots echoing softly. The fluorescent lights above flickered, casting intermittent shadows. She approached the source of the sound, and then saw him. Noah Carter. He was backed up against a stained cinderblock wall, his glasses knocked to the floor, his lips split. 3 boys surrounded him, Ricky Malloy, Brent Ackers, and Tyler Sharp, members of Jason Lennox's inner circle. One held a phone, recording. Another had Noah's shirt bunched in his fist, slapping him in rhythmic bursts. "Come on, say it again, nerd," Brent sneered. "Say you're too weak to fight back. It'll go viral." Noah whimpered but stayed silent. The phone hovered closer. "Don't be shy, Carter. You're a star now. People love seeing losers cry." Savannah stepped into the hallway, her voice cold. "Put the phone down." The 3 boys turned, startled, but didn't move. Ricky raised an eyebrow. "Oh look, the psycho queen herself. Shouldn't you be off punching walls or threatening teachers?" "I said put it down," Savannah repeated. Brent laughed and let go of Noah, who collapsed to the floor with a gasp. "What are you gonna do? Bite us? Didn't your therapist tell you to manage your anger?" Savannah took a step forward. Her fists weren't clenched, but her posture had shifted. Balanced. "Ready. You want a video?" she said quietly. "I'll give you one." The first hit came fast. Brent lunged, and Savannah sidestepped, her elbow slamming into his side. He folded. Ricky tried to grab her, but she ducked low, sweeping his leg. He hit the floor with a grunt. Tyler swung wildly, a mistake. Savannah blocked with her forearm, twisted his wrist, and the phone clattered to the floor. In seconds, it was over. The boys scrambled to their feet, groaning. Savannah didn't chase. She simply stared, eyes burning. "Leave him alone," she said. They didn't respond. Just limped away, muttering curses. Ricky grabbed the phone as they fled. Noah remained on the floor, trembling. Savannah knelt beside him. "You okay?" He nodded, though tears streaked his face. "Why you didn't have to?" "Yes, I did." She helped him up. He wiped his face with his sleeve, still shaking. "They were filming it. If it goes online." "They won't post it," Savannah said firmly. "I made sure of it." But as they walked back down the hall, she couldn't shake the chill crawling up her spine. That evening, Savannah sat on her porch, watching the sun dip below the rooftops. Her knuckles were bruised, but it wasn't the pain that unsettled her. It was the silence afterward. She knew someone would report the fight. Teachers, parents, someone. But strangely, no one did. On Monday, nothing happened. No call to the principal's office. No teacher giving her that suspicious side eye. It was too quiet. At lunch, she cornered Noah by the vending machines. "Did you tell anyone?" she asked. "No," he said quickly. "Did you?" "No." They exchanged uneasy glances. "Maybe they're scared of you," Noah offered. Maybe. But Savannah wasn't convinced. Later that day, while in the library, Savannah overheard a conversation between 2 tech club members whispering by the printers. "Security cam picked up a hallway fight Friday," one said. "But the footage is gone." "Gone? Like deleted?" "No trace of it on the system. Principal's freaking out. Says it's a security breach." Savannah stiffened behind a row of shelves. Someone had deleted the footage. Deliberately. That night, she lay awake, replaying the scene over and over in her head. Someone had taken the footage, the only real evidence of what had happened. But why? To protect her? To protect the bullies? Or something else entirely? Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. No message. Just a photo. A screenshot from a security camera. She was in the frame, her fist mid-swing, Brent collapsing. Below it, "You're next." Savannah sat bolt upright, heart hammering. She locked the door, closed the blinds, and for the first time since Maple Grove, felt truly haunted. The next day, things got worse. Her locker was covered in red paint. Violent trash written in bold strokes. Students stared. Some laughed. One took a picture and muttered, "Psycho deserves it." She didn't react. Not in front of them. But inside, something cracked. Not from anger. From fear. They were watching her. And they wanted a reaction. At lunch, she saw Brent and Ricky at their usual table, laughing, untouched, untouchable. She noticed something else too. Jason Lennox had returned. He'd been suspended for fighting weeks earlier. Now he was back, sitting like a king among cowards. Their eyes met. His smile was slow. Calculated. He knew. Savannah found Noah hiding in the art wing, sketching in the back of the classroom. His hands were ink-stained, but his expression had hardened. "They're planning something," he whispered when she sat down. "How do you know?" "Tyler asked me to meet him behind the bleachers. Said he wants to apologize." "He doesn't mean it." "No," Savannah agreed. "He means to trap you." "I'm not going." "I am." That evening, Savannah approached the bleachers just before sunset. The air was heavy. The field empty. She saw a figure pacing, Tyler. He turned, surprised. "Noah didn't show?" he asked. "No," she said. "I did." Tyler scowled. "Not what we planned." Behind her, two more figures emerged, Brent and Ricky. Savannah turned slowly, eyes scanning the distance. No teachers. No cameras. No help. "So this was the plan," she said calmly. "Lure the weak one in. Prove you're big men." Tyler laughed. "We're not here to fight. Just remind you of your place. You're not the hero. You're just a freak with a fuse." "Then why delete the footage?" she asked. Silence. Ricky shifted. "We didn't." "Then who did?" "Jason," Brent muttered. "What?" "Jason took it. Said you embarrassed us. Said we're not allowed to look weak. He's gonna make it right." Savannah took a step forward. "What does right mean?" Tyler smirked. "You'll see." A crack of wood behind her. She turned, and Jason Lennox stood atop the bleachers, arms crossed. He clapped once. Slowly. "You're quick, Blake," he called. "But not smart." "I know you have the footage," she said. He grinned. "Of course I do. You think I'd let your story become some Sobfest redemption arc? This school needs order. And fear." He jumped down. Walked slowly toward her. "You made my guys look weak. Now you pay." "You gonna fight me yourself?" she asked. Jason laughed. "Oh no. I don't need to. All I need is the right video. One that shows you losing control again." He pulled a phone from his jacket. "Smile, Blake. You're live." Savannah looked around. The boys were filming. Already streaming. Her heart pounded. Her fists twitched. But she didn't strike. Instead, she stepped back. "I'm not playing your game." "Too late," Jason hissed. He lunged. She dodged. Spun. Grabbed his wrist and twisted. He shouted, but she didn't hit him. She disarmed. De-escalated. Deliberately. "I'm not who you think I am," she said. She turned and walked away, heart racing. Behind her, Jason cursed. But she didn't look back. That night, Noah sent her a new video. Not from the security system. From his own phone. He'd filmed everything from the art wing window, hidden. Jason lunging. Her stepping back. Restraining, not attacking. "Send it to the principal," Savannah texted. "I already did," Noah replied. The next morning, Savannah walked into school, eyes steady. The red paint was gone. Her locker clean. The whispers were still there, but fewer. And this time, when she passed Jason Lennox's table, he didn't smile. He just looked away. The gym at East Ridge High smelled of dust, rubber mats, and old victories. At 5:30 p.m., most students were long gone, but a trio remained behind, moving in synchronized rhythm, sweat glistening on their brows beneath the soft hum of the fluorescent lights. Savannah Blake twisted, blocked, and swept low with her leg, only to have her kick countered and redirected. She hit the mat with a dull thud, her breath knocked out of her. "You're dropping your left shoulder again," Logan Reyes said as he offered her a hand. Savannah took it and stood up, brushing her palms off on her leggings. "I know," she muttered. "It's muscle memory." Logan nodded, not pushing further. That was his way, quiet, deliberate, never saying more than needed. His movements in the dojo were precise, almost graceful, as if every strike had a memory stitched into it. Noah Carter stood by the side, catching his breath and wiping sweat from his forehead. He was a fast learner, and surprisingly flexible. What he lacked in brute strength, he made up for in tenacity. Since the ambush near the bleachers, he'd been insistent on learning how to defend himself. "I don't think I've sweat this much in my life," he said between breaths. "I thought karate would be all zen and bowing and, I don't know, peaceful." Savannah grinned. "You're thinking of Tai Chi." Logan smirked. "Or anime." They were three very different people: Savannah, the misunderstood outcast with fire in her fists; Noah, the quiet victim finally deciding to stand up; and Logan Reyes, the loner with shadows in his eyes. But they worked. And lately, Savannah had started to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time: trust. It had been Noah's idea to form the group. A team, he had said after their second unofficial training session. Not just for karate. For everything. Back up. Watch each other's backs. At first, Savannah hesitated. Teams meant dependence. Vulnerability. But then she saw the bruises on Noah's ribs and the quiet weight Logan carried in his eyes, and she realized, maybe she wasn't the only one with scars. They called it the Underground Alliance. Half joking, half serious. A name born from whispered conversations in corners, covert messages slipped into lockers, and late-night dojo meetups when the world outside couldn't touch them. One evening, after practice, Logan lingered while Noah left early to catch the late bus. Savannah sat on the bench, unlacing her sneakers. "You're good," she said, glancing at Logan. "Too good." He looked up from wiping down the mats. "What do you mean?" "You move like you've done this before. Not just a few years. I mean, like it matters." Logan was silent for a long moment, then sat down across from her, elbows on his knees. "I've been training since I was 8, he said. "Used to do competitions. Chase and I trained together." Savannah blinked. "Chase Hunter? As in Jason Lennox's enforcer?" Logan nodded, his expression unreadable. "We were best friends. Like brothers. Went everywhere together. School, tournaments, even family vacations. Until what?" He looked away. "Until the accident." Savannah leaned in. "What accident?" Logan hesitated. "You've noticed how no one talks about why Chase changed, right? He used to be kind. Protective even. Then, one summer, he came back cold. Angry. Violent. I thought that was just who he is." "It wasn't," Logan said quietly. It happened the summer before sophomore year. We were at this cabin upstate with his uncle, just us two. There was an old bridge, half broken. We dared each other to cross it. He paused. I fell. Chase tried to help me. The bridge gave out under both of us. Savannah held her breath. He climbed out. I shattered my ankle. I was trapped there for hours before help came. Something about that moment, something changed in him. I don't know if it was guilt or something worse, but after that, he stopped talking to me. Started hanging out with Jason. And it wasn't just a personality shift, it was like he erased who he used to be. Why haven't you told anyone? Because no one would believe it. And because Chase isn't the same person anymore. I've seen it in his eyes, he's trying to bury something. And he doesn't want witnesses. Savannah sat with his words long after they'd parted. The image of Chase pulling Logan from the wreckage haunted her. What happened on that bridge? What had Chase seen, or done, that turned him into what he was now? And more importantly, why was Logan telling her? Over the next few days, the trio began to train with more urgency. Savannah taught combinations and pressure point escapes. Logan led drills and controlled grappling. Noah worked on endurance and reading opponents. But it wasn't just about defense anymore. It was preparation. Because they could feel something was coming. Jason Lennox's group had gone quiet, too quiet. The mocking glances were gone. The confrontation stopped. It wasn't a ceasefire, it was a recalibration. And then came the note. Taped to Savannah's locker. No signature. You're not the only ones digging into the past. Be careful where you step. Noah read it first. This is a threat. Logan studied the handwriting. No. It's a warning. Savannah felt a chill crawl down her spine. Then someone else knows what happened on that bridge. Later that week, Logan didn't show up to practice. No texts. No calls. Noah waited 10 minutes before speaking. You think something happened? Savannah grabbed her jacket. We're going to his house. Logan lived on the edge of town in a small apartment complex with rusted balconies and peeling paint. His mom answered the door, bleary-eyed. He's not home, she said. Didn't come back last night either. Left a note saying he was staying with a friend. But I checked, he's not there. Savannah felt her pulse quicken. Do you know where he used to train? With Chase? His mom hesitated. There was a warehouse gym on Miller Street. They went there before it shut down. Thanks, Savannah said, already moving. The warehouse was abandoned, its windows boarded and its parking lot cracked with weeds. But a faint light glowed from inside. They crept around back and found a side door ajar. Inside, shadows. And then, voices. Savannah pressed herself against a pillar. She could make out Logan's voice, frustrated. Desperate. You shouldn't be doing this. Chase's reply was low and bitter. You shouldn't have brought it up again. I told you, it's dead. Leave it buried. No, Chase. We need to talk about it. About that night. About what you saw. Silence. Then Chase's voice again, trembling with rage. You don't understand what was down there. Savannah's blood ran cold. What do you mean? Logan asked. But before Chase could answer, Jason stepped into view. And he was holding Logan's phone. Well, Jason said. Looks like our little alliance has a mole. Savannah moved. Fast. She kicked the door open and sprinted inside, Noah behind her. Back off, she shouted. Jason turned, and smiled. Of course you came. Logan looked up, bruised but unbroken. They know everything now. Jason scoffed. Then they'll fall with you. He raised the phone, but Logan lunged first. A flurry of movement, then the phone hit the floor and cracked. Savannah moved in, blocking a punch from Chase and pinning his wrist. "Chase," she said sharply. "What did you see down there?" Chase froze. His eyes, once cold, flickered. Something that should have stayed buried. Then, without warning, he pulled back and ran. Jason followed, leaving Savannah, Logan, and Noah standing in the dust and silence. Outside, Logan exhaled shakily. "I told you," something snapped in him. But it wasn't just fear. It was knowing something that no one else did. Savannah nodded. "Then we find out what it is." Noah picked up the broken phone. "And maybe, find out who else doesn't want us to know." The ticking of the dojo clock echoed through the otherwise silent training hall, a soft metronome counting down to something none of them could name. Savannah Blake sat on the hardwood bench near the mirrored wall, wiping the sweat from her brow with a frayed towel. Logan Reyes knelt nearby, adjusting the straps on his worn-out gloves in quiet concentration. The air between them was heavy, not with fatigue, but with unease. Noah was missing again. He hadn't shown up to practice. No texts. No calls. Nothing. It might have been excused as simple flakiness, except in their world now, absence carried weight. Silence could be dangerous. And after what happened in the warehouse, with Chase Hunter's shadow looming larger by the day, no one could afford to be careless. That afternoon, Noah Carter stood alone behind the gym building, leaning against the cold brick wall. His hands were shoved deep into the pockets of his hoodie, his head bowed low. Across from him stood Chase Hunter, casual, relaxed, cigarette in hand, but not lit. He just toyed with it, like a prop he didn't need to use. "I've been watching you, Noah," Chase said, voice smooth as oil on water. "You're trying hard. I get that. But let me be real with you, Savannah's not your way out. She's dragging you into something she can't control." Noah looked up, jaw tight. "She helped me. When nobody else did." Chase didn't flinch. "Helped you? She's got you throwing punches at people twice your size. Practicing kicks in the dark like that'll save you when it counts. Look, I know what it's like to want to matter. But she's not who you think she is." His tone shifted, became quieter, almost conspiratorial. "I can protect you, man. Jason, the others, they'll leave you alone. No more slushies in your locker. No more broken glasses. You just, give me a few details. What she's planning. When they're meeting. That's it." Noah's heart thudded. It sounded easy. It sounded like safety. But it didn't sound right. He didn't answer. Chase's eyes narrowed. "You don't have to decide now. But think about it. One text from you, and all of this," he motioned vaguely around him, "goes away." That night, Noah sat in his bedroom with the lights off, bathed only in the glow of his phone screen. A message was already typed out. "Tomorrow. 5 p.m. Dojo. She'll be alone." His finger hovered over the send button. His chest ached. His mind raced. He could already see the expression on Savannah's face if she found out. Disappointed. Not angry, disappointed. That was worse. She had never asked him to fight for her. Only to believe in himself. He deleted the message. But even then, the decision wasn't final. Not yet. The next day, Savannah arrived at the dojo early. She felt the stillness the moment she stepped inside. Something about the quiet was wrong. The space was too perfect. Too undisturbed. The door creaked behind her. She turned sharply. Jason stepped in, flanked by two more of Chase's guys, thick-necked, smirking, overconfident. One of them carried a camera mounted on a rig. Live. Jason grinned. Smile, Blake. You're about to be the star of today's broadcast. Savannah's eyes flicked from face to face. No Noah. No Logan. A setup. Her muscles tensed. You really think this will go the way you want? Everyone's watching, Jason said, tapping the camera. And when I put you down on that mat, Savannah Blake, the girl who thinks she's untouchable, everyone will know you're just a joke with a punch. Then Chase emerged from the shadows, arms folded. He didn't smirk. He didn't speak. He just watched. The door burst open again. This time, it was Logan, sprinting in, eyes wild. Before Jason could react, Logan launched a roundhouse kick straight into the chest of the guy holding the camera. The rig clattered to the ground, the live stream blinking into static. Behind him, Noah rushed in, breathless. Savannah's eyes met his. Surprise. Confusion. Hurt. You knew, she said, low. I did, Noah panted. I almost. Jason shouted something, but it was drowned out by Logan barreling into another guy, locking him in a chokehold. Savannah turned back to Jason and Chase. We'll talk later, she muttered. Right now, we fight. It wasn't a duel, it was war. The dojo rang with the sound of fists on flesh, shoes scuffing wood, the ragged breathing of people who had no choice but to win. Savannah danced around Jason, dodging his wild swings with precision. She countered with calculated strikes, remembering every lesson, every hour spent perfecting form. When he lunged with a roar, she slipped to the side and slammed her elbow into his ribs. Logan ducked a punch from the tallest of the boys and swept his leg out, toppling him with a crash. Noah wasn't graceful. But he was determined. He tackled one of the guys trying to reboot the camera, wrestling the phone away and stomping it underfoot. Sparks flew. Chase didn't fight. He watched. And when it was clear they were losing, he simply turned and walked away. They sat on the floor of the dojo, sweat slick and bleeding, surrounded by overturned benches and scattered gear. No one spoke for a while. Finally, Savannah looked at Noah. You almost gave me up. He nodded. I know. I thought about letting them have you, she said quietly. Logan shot her a glance, but she kept her eyes on Noah. But you didn't go through with it. I couldn't, he whispered. You're the first person who ever made me feel like I wasn't just some weak kid waiting to be stepped on. She stared at him for a moment longer. Then she nodded. Just once. No more secrets, Logan said, wiping blood from his lip. If we don't trust each other, we're done. Savannah stood slowly. From now on, we fight as one. Unbeknownst to them, a black car had been parked down the street during the entire altercation. Inside, a man in his 40s sat sipping lukewarm coffee from a thermos, watching the livestream footage from a hacked feed. He tapped a finger against the steering wheel as he watched Savannah's final blow. Then he picked up his phone. They're consolidating, he said to the voice on the other end. A woman's voice replied, cold and amused. Let them. We have other pieces to move. The dojo had never felt so silent. Even with the evening wind brushing against the shoji doors and the creak of distant floorboards, the stillness inside was deafening, like the world itself was holding its breath. Savannah Blake stood barefoot on the tatami mats, her gaze fixed on the entrance. She'd swept the dojo clean earlier that day, every mat realigned, every window scrubbed, as if preparing it for judgment. And in a way, she was. Because tonight, Chase Hunter was coming. Not with a gang. Not with threats hidden behind locker room walls or whispers in the hallway. Tonight, he was coming to fight. One-on-one. Logan and Noah sat quietly along the side wall, neither speaking. They tried to convince her not to face Chase alone. They had scars to prove what the cost might be. But she'd made her choice. This isn't about revenge, she had told them. It's about closure. But deep down, they all knew it was more. It was about finally dragging every shadow from the past into the light. The door slid open at 7:03 p.m. And there he was. Chase stepped inside, his presence stretching across the room like smoke. He was calm, almost bored, dressed not in gang colors or intimidation tactics, just a black t-shirt, sweats, and calloused knuckles. His eyes scanned the space with familiarity. Once, this place had been his sanctuary too. Savannah didn't move. "You really came." "You called me out," he replied. "Figured I'd give the people what they want. There are no cameras this time." Chase smiled without humor. "That's too bad. You always looked good when you hit back." Logan flinched at the comment. Noah sat forward, fists clenched. Savannah stepped onto the center mat. "Let's finish this." They began without ceremony, no bow, no nod, just motion. Chase lunged with speed Savannah hadn't seen since the old tournament videos Coach Wong used to show her. He was faster than Jason, smarter than the other thugs, but Savannah had something none of them did. Purpose. She dodged the first hook, countered with a spinning kick that grazed his ribs. Chase staggered but grinned, relishing the contact. He came back with brutal force, punches aimed to hurt, not win. He struck her shoulder, then her ribs, nearly knocking her off balance. But Savannah held her ground. Every blow brought back memories, the night she defended her sister, the betrayal by teachers who didn't believe her, the whispers in East Ridge hallways branding her a monster. She used that pain. Transformed it. She flowed around his strikes, her style more controlled now, every movement deliberate. She swept his leg, brought him to his knees, only for Chase to roll away and spring back up like a predator who refused to die. "You think you're some kind of savior?" he spat between breaths. "You're just another liar pretending to be better than me." "No," Savannah replied, calm. "I'm better because I stopped lying to myself." The fight dragged on, minutes that felt like hours. Sweat drenched their backs. Blood marked the mats. But the tide shifted when Logan stood. "She's not alone," he said loudly. Chase hesitated for just a second, glancing at Logan. That second was all Savannah needed. She moved in rapid strikes, a feint to the left, then a brutal side kick to the solar plexus. Chase staggered back, wind knocked out. Savannah rushed in and delivered a sweeping takedown that slammed him to the mat. He groaned, tried to rise. But Noah was already on his feet, holding up a phone. "I recorded all of it," Noah said. "From the moment you stepped in. From the moment you said you give the people what they want. You're done, Chase." Chase's face twisted with rage, but it wasn't directed at Savannah, it was fear. Not of losing. Of being exposed. The video hit social media within minutes. Not just the fight, but the audio. Chase's admissions. His taunts. His casual cruelty. But something unexpected happened. The clip of Savannah refusing to finish Chase off, choosing restraint over revenge, spread faster than the violence. Comments flooded in. "She fought him and still showed mercy. That's real strength. We judged her wrong. This is the girl they call the threat?" The tide turned. East Ridge High didn't see her as a violent outcast anymore. They saw her as someone who endured pain, who fought back, but didn't lose herself in the process. The next week, Savannah stood beside Master Watanabe, the dojo owner, as he addressed the small crowd of students. "She fought not only to protect," he said, "but to change hearts. That is the mark of a true martial artist." Then he turned to Savannah. "How would you feel about teaching your own class?" Her heart thudded. "You're serious?" "I've never been more." She didn't cry, but her hands shook as she bowed. It would be an honor. That Saturday, a new sign was taped to the bulletin board. Self-defense for beginners, Coach Savannah Blake. Noah joined the class. So did Logan. Others followed. Kids who used to avoid her in the hallways now stayed after school to learn from her. The dojo transformed into more than a training hall. It became a refuge. At first, Savannah was reluctant to believe she deserved any of it. The praise, the apologies, even the friendships. But as the weeks passed, she felt something shift. She no longer looked over her shoulder in school. She no longer walked the halls alone. And when she looked in the mirror, she saw someone not just surviving, but leading. Somewhere on the edge of town, in a rehab facility designed more for image than healing, Chase stared at the wall of his room, a bandage on his shoulder, a screen turned off. He wasn't the king anymore. And in East Ridge High, Savannah Blake, once branded a threat, became something else entirely. A protector. A mentor. A symbol of courage, forgiveness, and the quiet, unbreakable power of choosing who you become even when the world has already chosen for you. Every battle leaves marks. But not all of them are wounds. Some become strength. The war at East Ridge wasn't won in a single fight. It was carved in late-night training sessions, broken friendships, and moments of fragile trust. Savannah Blake didn't just face fists, she faced fear, betrayal, and the echo of her own guilt. And yet, she never backed down. In the end, it wasn't her strength that changed the school. It was her restraint. Her choice to fight with purpose. To forgive without forgetting. To become something stronger than revenge. Now, as she leads the very dojo that once gave her solace, Savannah isn't just a survivor. She's a leader. A mentor. A symbol of how courage isn't the absence of scars, but the refusal to let them define you. And for every student who steps onto that mat, afraid, angry, or alone, Savannah Blake is there, a quiet reminder that the past may shape you, but it will never decide who you become.